Happy Monday, everybody. Mrs. Williams here with a quick weekly newsletter for you. Thanks for tuning in this week. We are rounding out the middle of third quarter right now. I can't believe it. So you have something really important that has come home today. You have a letter talking to you about third quarter conferences. And I'm really excited because these are the conferences that the students lead. Now, of course, I'll be in here, but there will be several families in here at one time, and usually about 4 to 6, and it happens after school. So I'm giving you a really good heads up about 6 weeks out. Here's the sign-up sheet. I'm asking you to label a 1 and 2, first and second choice for conference day, and they stretch through about 3 weeks. So the first one beginning on Thursday, March 21st, and the last one on Tuesday, April 2nd. So I'm really expecting everyone to attend. This is a really fun conference because your student's going to be putting a lot of work into it, meaning they're leading their own conference. Research says this is a great strategy for students. They really have ownership in their learning, and I love that. So, of course, you'll still have an opportunity to speak with me at the conference. I'll highlight some work habits and conduct, behavior, things like that, but overall, your student will be leading the conference, so that's a lot of fun. So get excited for that. So make sure you read that letter and fill out that sheet and send it back as soon as possible. And another thing that's coming home today, yours is on a purple piece of paper, but it's a letter about our fairy tale tea. And if you know anything about first grade, if you've had a child go through first grade, most of us on first grade do some sort of fairy tale tea, and this is really exciting and honestly the best time of year for first grade. We're going to do a very large unit of study on fairy tales, and we're really going to learn how to pick apart the problems and the solutions. We're going to be analyzing characters in these stories. We're going to be comparing and contrasting different fairy tales of the same title, so different versions of Cinderella, different versions of Princess and the Pea, things like that. And your student's going to become very well versed on retelling something with lots of different components. Also, he or she will be writing their own fairy tale, so that's really fun. And then we'll be having a very big celebration during the first week of April. More information to come soon. And it is a very big to-do. The classroom will be decked out and transformed into a fairy tale wonderland. I will be dressed up, your students will be dressed up, which is what the letter is highlighting. So the letter is just reminding you to go ahead and get started finding some sort of costume. I'm not suggesting you spend money in any way. I know if you have little girls, they probably have some dress-up chests, or little boys might even have some dress-up things. We are sticking to fairy tale characters, so think princesses, princes, kings, and knights, and dragons, things like that. So no Spider-Man or Transformers or Little Mermaid or things like that. So anyway, get a head start on that. Get a jump start. There's some great deals on eBay if you're looking for something new, or the party supply stores. So wanted to give you that nice and early. All right, something new that's going to be coming home this week. I'm really excited. I've been talking to you about FLueNcY and our work towards FLueNcY, and we're working on reading very smoothly, very fluently, fluidly, and very active, using our expression. So I'm going to be sending home a FLueNcY folder. They're all different colors. This is just an example of one. And inside are going to be the same things every week. They're going to come home every Thursday, and they're expected to be returned every Friday. So this is your Thursday night homework. Remember, we give you your homework a whole week early, so you've got time to start it, and you can plan accordingly as busy as your week might be. So make sure you carve out time on Thursday evenings for your FLueNcY work. There is a letter explaining how the FLueNcY folder works, so make sure you read that. And then on the back is the Lucky Listener reading log. And I've crossed out the first 5 weeks because we're that far through third quarter as far as using our FLueNcY folder. But on Thursday this week, week number 6 right here, you're going to be recording the listener's name and the title. And I'm going to be sending home poetry. If you have kept up with your son or daughter's work on poetry this year, we keep our poetry journals in the classroom, but we have a poem of the week that we practice, and the kids are able to read them to themselves or with a partner as they're accumulated in their poetry journals. But we usually do some kind of phonetic skill with it, And again, this is a great way to practice fluency. So I'm going to start sending some of these home. Like I said, you'll get one every Thursday, and there's a great resource guide for you. It just helps you as a parent understand what fluency is, some ways to work on it. Talking about expression and volume. It talks about pacing, smoothness, and it also talks about phrasing. So these are all really good things for you to understand how your son or daughter should be reading. And then there's some really fun visual aids here to help your son or daughter understand how they're doing. So again, this is just a Thursday night weekly practice, and everything needs to stay inside this folder, being this stapled resource guide for you, the letter, because on the back we'll be checking to see if the lucky listener listened to your son or daughter's poem of the week, and then the poem also needs to come back into the folder. And we'll be checking these every Friday and returning them the next Thursday. So that's going to be a lot of fun and a great way to practice fluency. All right, and then I just wanted to show you an example of something we're going to be doing this week as we begin our unit on fairy tales. It's such a big, fun unit. And first we have to start off with, what is a fairy tale? So we're going to be doing some sorting, talking about elements of a fairy tale. So we're talking about things like that there's magic and there's royalty. They usually start with once upon a time, and they usually end with happily ever after. So this is some of the work you might be seeing coming home at the end of the week, and I just wanted to kind of make you aware so you can have some good conversations at home. The first fairy tale we're going to be reading, because it's so familiar, is Cinderella. So I'm really excited. I love this unit of study. It's a really fun way to get your child excited about retelling and writing. All right, so then just kind of a sample of some of the other things we're doing. We're continuing our unit of study on rocks, and we're going to be starting a rock collection this week in science. In social studies, we are continuing to learn about African American history, and we are continuing with some important inventors and entrepreneurs in the African American community. In math, we're finishing up our shapes unit with three-dimensional shapes, and the students are doing a really good job with this. I can tell they had a little bit of introduction in kindergarten, which is so important. That foundation was built, and so we're just continuing that unit, describing, building, and beginning to describe using those important attributes besides color and size. In writing, we're going to do one more piece before we begin our fairy tale writing. So this week, we're going to be working on another informational piece. So look for some informational writing to come home. And if you start to see a few less work samples coming home, just understand I'm doing that because I'm going to be saving some things for your student to share with you at that all-important third quarter student-led conference. So make sure you check out all that good information I'm sending home today. I hope you guys have a fabulous week, and look for that FLueNcY folder on Thursday, and make sure to return it on Friday. All right, guys, have a good one. Bye.